take home? Have you sort of learned anything new that you're going to apply towards 2021, or how are you kind of feeling overall after making it through to the end?
I think generally it's a positive note, because I try to make this all positive and think positive, but I also really do believe that my takeaway is that everything I've ever been talking about, like you have to build your network, and it takes time to build up networks, but it's so important to have contacts to keep in touch with people, if that's online or in person or whatever. But my one takeaway this year is it worked. I mean, I basically went from, in-person meetings and consulting to offline or online and remote working and everything. And people kept in touch. And I got even new clients through the network, because I obviously kept in touch with them via social media and everything. And the most important thing is, I always talk about that if you pick your right clients, if you pick your ideal clients, it makes a big difference, because obviously they value what you do, and it makes job more fun, it makes the work more fun. It's just exactly why we started our business. But this year it drove the point home that it worked, because not a single one of my clients has dropped me. Like that was the one thing early when the lockdown started, I saw it popping up on LinkedIn that people lost projects and lost work from one day to the other and everything. And I was just sitting there, I was just grateful that, I picked my right clients. They all kind of understand what I do and how I can help them, and they value it enough to, especially in a time like this, to just stick with me. And that was, I think, my one takeaway. It works. It's having a network and building up really, really good contacts with people and finding the right client for you. That makes it also much more stable. Although I've been doing this for 10 years, so obviously it's not a quick job, but that was the one relief this year. It's just like, perfect. I've got the right foundation and basis for everything to keep going. So that was quite a nice, encouraging thing this year.
Well, yeah, and I think what you said is right. So I know you said you've been doing the networking for 10 years, but I don't think you've ever had to do networking the way that you did this year. And for those who don't know, Denise is one of the organisers of the No Ties networking event. I think, am I right in saying you're one of the organisers?
Yes.
So
yes.
You, the three women that organised this event have moved it online this year to try something different, and you had always met in person before. And I mean, I was never at the in-person events. I only just joined for the first time with the online stuff, but I think they've been fantastic. And I never would have thought to join an online networking event if we were not in a pandemic. Like if you would have been running these pre-pandemic, I probably would have been like, I don't know if that's my thing. It might be awkward online. But actually, it's been fine. So knowing how well networking had worked for you and knowing that you needed to find a way to keep doing it, I think now no matter what, you can find a way to kind of keep in touch with people and keep growing your community as well.
Yeah, what I loved about it was that, I mean, in my mind, I was always based in Edinburgh. I always said I'm working for people that I can reach within an hour of public transport or something. So it was not only ever just Edinburgh, but the southeast of Scotland. But I mean, even the two of us, because of online networking, and it just, in our heads, or in my head at least, it was still only localized. And now that online networking is covering the whole of Scotland, it doesn't matter where you're from, if it's the north of England or the south of England or even further afield. I like that it has opened up my perspective on networking and on contacts, and it works. We really do not need to just be face to face. And the No Ties networking, we were so chuffed how well it translated from face to face to an online version, because it was always a very safe space, kind of relaxed thing. And we weren't sure if people would be feeling so safe and so informal, and when they sit in front of their computer and are not with the people in the room and have a nice chat over lunch. We still miss the lunches, but we've been blown away by the fact that it translated so well onto Zoom. But I really like that. I mean, I love meeting people in person, don't get me wrong, but why we can't do this, Zoom or online networking, everything is just the second best thing. It works a lot better than I would have thought. And I wouldn't have joined networking events in Glasgow and Perth or even somewhere else before the pandemic either. And yeah, it's nice. I made a lot of really, really great contacts. So no, definitely interesting. And there's a lot of things that wouldn't have happened if it hadn't been for the pandemic. So I'm trying to focus on the good things.
That's a good way to look at it. I'm trying to do the same. It's like, instead of thinking out on like, you know, work that was lost or work that had to be changed, that I maybe like the way it happened before or whatever, just focusing on the good things that have come out of it. And as you say, I feel like I've definitely taken on opportunities that I wouldn't have if we weren't in that pandemic. And even thinking ahead now to 2021, I feel less worried about how long it's going to take for things to get back to normal, whatever the new normal is. Yeah. Knowing that we found a way to work, and we've done it for, what are we at now, 9 months or something, or close to 9 months we've made it through now. So if we have to do it for a few more months, we'll do it.
I actually made a list at some point during the whole thing. I think it must have been towards summer when things started to ease up a little bit. But I made a list of things that I thought were good. Like, what has changed during lockdown that I want to keep whatever happens next? What do I want to, like, I mean, a lot of people found out that working from home is actually better than being in office, or maybe the other way around. And I wanted to hold on to that feeling of, well, this is actually better than before, or this is what I'm missing from the time before lockdown. So I actually made a list just to make myself aware of certain things I might to carry on doing afterwards, or might want to change. And we don't know what afterwards and when afterwards is going to happen, but I still like the idea of just, you know, take the opportunity to run with it, but also to see, what do I want to keep and what do I want to change based on our experiences this year. And that was certainly, I mean, I have to go back to that list and just always add on, just have a look and edit and everything. But I think by the end of it, it would be quite nice to just see, what can I keep? What do I want to, what have I learned, and about my own behavior, about my own business and everything. But yeah, what do I want to keep?
Love it. I think that is a great point to end on. That is like, and it's looking back and seeing, I know for me, it's like, I need to find a better work-life balance. I need to stick to work hours, and days off are days off, and just stop trying to have so many things on a to-do list in a day. Because then it's just, you feel awful that you've not got through them, when really, like, you never stood a chance because the list was totally unreasonable. So yeah, I like that idea. I might do the same. I actually try and write out what things change that I actually like and want to remember to stick with, even if, you know, things go normal. This was another important takeaway, I think, and it sounds like such a simple thing, but you know, this podcast is all about acknowledging the lessons that we learned and sharing that perspective and bringing it out into the open. But the only way that that those lessons are valuable is if we keep them top of mind, and if we try to make a real effort to continue implementing them even when we are out of lockdown, which hopefully happens sooner rather than later. But trying to keep these things top of mind, and really making sure that we don't just fall into the same routines and the same bad habits moving forwards. This is a lesson that my next guest learned as well, and is holding a top priority for 2021. So I'm about to speak to Nikki, who is the brains behind Haya Pal Cards. Nikki is a designer, and her business is all about fun Scottish banter and connecting people with a good old-fashioned greeting card. Hey Nikki, thanks so much for joining us. How's 2020 treated you?
Hi, it's been a funny year, hasn't it? So I guess it's been pretty good overall in the end, but you know, around about March time when everything kicked off, I was really worried that was kind of the end of my business for this year. And obviously it was challenging doing homeschooling as well, and then looking after kids most of the time, but I think it just took a little while to get into it and to find a balance and a way of working in the house with kids about, and sharing the load a little bit with my husband at home as well. But I think one of the really good things that's come out of this year is I've always had a good relationship with quite a few other small business owners, but I feel like this year that has just flourished so much more. And we've all really connected, and everybody's helping everybody out. And, you know, that's partly the only reason I got my business back off the ground this year, was people were telling me about ways to still run everything online without having to go into the post office. Just little things like that you're kind of aware of, but you don't really learn how to do until you're pushed into doing it. So I feel like that connection with other small businesses and friendships, and definitely the community over competition side of all of that has been a good outcome from this year.
I
also
like
think
that's
yeah,
a good one, and I totally agree. I think we've all been not forced to come together, but because we can't meet people in person and we've all had to adapt our businesses, we have all connected in a much bigger way online. I totally agree.
yeah, absolutely. And even with, it's with some people that do exactly the same thing as me, making cards. But it's also with business owners that do other things. And then again, even ones that aren't necessarily online, like school mums that I know that run their own business, you all have similar challenges and face similar issues in balancing your workload and working from home and extra people in the house and all of that. So I think being able to connect with more people and share your issues is always really helpful. So yeah, that's one of my main outcomes from this year, really.
That is such a good one. And I like, it's funny because the more of these I do, the more I see that everybody's kind of talked about how there was an initial challenge or maybe a few challenges throughout, but now kind of being almost at the end of the year, it sounds like everybody's taken at least a few positive things from it and are sort of feeling hopeful about 2021. So how are you feeling about kind of moving forward now? Has this given you a bit of a boost?
Definitely. And yeah, I've got lots of ideas for next year, but I'm also trying to work out how to be able to take more time off, relax a bit, because I think that's the other thing. I've ended up working so much more this year, and it's been great. My business has done well, and I'm really happy about it all. But it's been really hard work, and it's the same for loads of small businesses. And I know lots of people this Christmas. I mean, it's amazing. People have shifted more to supporting small businesses throughout this, which is amazing, but it's really put the pressure on all of us. So I think making sure I'm finding time next year to do more creative things for me as well, and trying to make a way of the business working efficiently without me having to work so hard all the time. I think that's really important as well. And again, I don't really know if that ties in, but having a business that can be supported by online, but also by bricks and mortar shops, being able to sort of spread the way you do your business is obviously really important in challenging times like this when things change so much and change quite quickly. It's amazing to have the different income streams from different places so that you're not just, all eggs in one basket sort of thing.
No, that's a really good point. And I think so many people have adapted. Maybe what they did was in person and now they've managed to figure it out on Zoom, or like you say, you diversify a bit. So maybe you were mostly stocked in sort of brick and mortar shops and you start to think, well, wait, I could do some online selling. So it's been really inspiring to see people figure that out. And I think what you said before about like finding other businesses, whether they are in the same sort of industry or line of work of you, or do something totally different, but everybody's kind of had to find a way, and everyone's been so helpful about sharing like how it worked for them and how they did it. So that's also good. It's all very positive, a nice positive way to end off the year.
Yeah, funny to end it so positively when it's been quite a challenging year, but yeah, it's great.
One of the best things that I gained from putting together this podcast is hearing pretty much everybody that I spoke to say something along the lines of 2020 ended on a positive note for them, or they were feeling hopeful for the new year or excited about what the new year could bring. So that was really great to see, especially after a year that was so challenging and so up and down for everybody. And my next guest, who is Jen from Cozy Wee Reads, has some great perspective to share on this as well. She talks us through how, again, definitely not the year that she had planned, and how there were some kind of tough bits in the middle, but she ended off the year on a really positive note, and how it really confirmed to her that she was in the right place and doing what she was meant to be doing.
Hi, so thanks for having me. So 2020 has been different for me, very different, and I think it's taught me quite a lot about balance in life and focus, and how it's just not possible to do everything
at the same time. You can really only focus on one thing or another at a time. So I feel when we all went into lockdown, my kids were obviously suddenly at home all the time, and they were quite unsettled, and